All right, so we're diving into some Cherokee lore today, but with a
A
twist.
twist.
Well, you know how we love a good mystery, right? And this one, it even has anthropologists scratching their heads.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so imagine this. Ancient ruins, hidden deep in the Appalachian Mountains, whispers of a lost people. And no, I'm not talking about Bigfoot.
Okay, you've definitely got my attention. Who are we talking about?
The Moon-Eyed People.
The Moon-Eyed People. Now
Yes.
that's a deep dive if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with these Moon-Eyed People? Just legends or something more?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's exactly what we're here to unpack today. We're diving into the legends, the possible evidence, the whole shebang. You up for it?
Born ready. Let's do this.
Music to my ears. All right, so first things first, who exactly did the Cherokee believe the Moon-Eyed People were?
So picture this. Small, pale-skinned, even sporting beards. Definitely not your average folks in those parts back then.
Yeah, talk about sticking out like a sore thumb. But there's more to it, right?
Oh yeah, this is where it gets interesting. These Moon-Eyed People, they were said to be so sensitive to light that they could only see in the dark. Hence the name, right?
Makes sense. But the Cherokee believed in a spirit world too, didn't they? So were these Moon-Eyed People seen as mystical beings or something different?
That's a really important distinction. While the Cherokee had spirits and all sorts of supernatural beings in their stories, the Moon-Eyed People were always described as human, a distinct group of people with their own customs, their own history.
So not like, mystical creatures, but actual flesh and blood humans.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so fascinating. It hints at a real encounter and interaction with a completely different group of people, however shrouded in mystery and time that might be.
And it wasn't all just kumbaya moments either, right?
Sadly, no. The legends talk about a conflict, a war for control of the mountains between the Cherokee and the Moon-Eyed People, although some stories pit them against the Creek Nation, not the Cherokee.
So which is it?
It's tough to say for sure. Oral histories, as fascinating as they are, can get a little fuzzy on the details. But the fact that this conflict appears in different forms, well, it suggests some kind of historical memory of a real struggle.
Like a game of telephone. Maybe the story's been passed down and morphed over time.
Exactly. And that's where the physical evidence comes in, because we're not just talking about legends here. We're talking about structures, actual stone structures scattered throughout the Southern Appalachians.
And not just any old piles of rocks, right? I mean, these were deliberately constructed walls, the kind that make you go, how on earth did they build that?
Precisely. And one of the most compelling examples of this, Fort Mountain in Georgia. Imagine, if you will, an 850-foot-long stone wall perched right on a mountain ridge.
850 feet. That's like 2.5 football fields.
It's massive. And the effort it would have taken to build something like that back then with the tools they had available, between 400 and 500 CE.
Now that's some serious dedication. But who in the world would go through all that trouble and why? It really makes you wonder what they were up against, that they needed something so massive to protect themselves.
Right. I mean, talk about a fortress. And it's not just the sheer size either, it's the construction itself. They use these different techniques, dry-laid masonry, stack bonding. It takes some serious know-how to pull that off.
So we've got a mysterious people, sensitive to light, building these impressive structures. Sounds like the setup to an Indiana Jones movie. Makes you wonder if they had some help, maybe from, I don't know, some Welsh prince who got lost at sea a few centuries earlier?
You're talking about Prince Madoc? Now that's a story and a half. It's like something out of a legend because, well, it is.
All right, give me the Cliff Notes version. Did a Welsh prince actually sail to America over 300 years before Columbus?
That's the claim. According to Welsh lore, Prince Madoc, he was tired of all the fighting back home in Wales, so he set sail and ends up supposedly somewhere on the shores of North America.
Okay, but that's a pretty big supposedly. Is there any actual proof to back this up?
Well, that's where things get tricky. There's no concrete archaeological evidence, no Madoc was here inscribed on a rock somewhere. But the stories, the oral histories, they've been passed down for generations in Wales.
So how does this tie into our Moon-Eyed People, besides the whole arriving in America way before Columbus thing?
Well, think about it. The Cherokee described the Moon-Eyed People as pale-skinned. Who else fits that description? Europeans? Some people believe that Madoc's lost colony, assuming they landed somewhere in or around the Appalachians, could be running the same as the Moon-Eyed People.
Okay, I can see that. But are there any other connections besides physical appearance? Like cultural similarities, maybe?
There are some interesting parallels. Researchers have found similarities between certain Cherokee words and phrases and their Welsh counterparts. Plus, there are some architectural echoes between some structures in Wales and the ones found in the Southern Appalachians.
Intriguing, but couldn't those just be coincidences? Like, how much can we really read into that?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a point of debate, even among experts. While it's tempting to connect the dots, we have to be careful about jumping to conclusions. Correlation doesn't equal causation, right?
Right. Absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence and all that. So what you're saying is we need to keep an open mind, but not get ahead of ourselves.
Exactly. Now, speaking of keeping an open mind, there's one more piece of this puzzle we should talk about. It's a bit out there. But if it's true, it could change everything we think we know about the Moon-Eyed people.
Oh, I do love a good plot twist. Lay it on me. What's this about?
Have you heard about the mysterious statue? The one a farmer supposedly dug up sometime in the 19th century.
A statue. Okay, now you're speaking my language. Tell me more about this mysterious statue. What's so special about it?
Well, the details are pretty scarce, and some people think it's all just a tall tale. But legend has it that this statue depicted two figures with flat faces.
Flat faces. Like no eyes.
That's the thing. No eyes, or at least very minimal eye sockets, which instantly makes you think of the Moon-Eyed people and their whole sensitivity to light thing.
Oh, wow. So this could be a depiction of the Moon-Eyed people themselves. Do we know where this statue is now? Is there even a photo of it?
Unfortunately, no. Its current whereabouts are unknown. That's assuming it even exists, of course.
Okay, so we've got a statue that may or may not exist, that may or may not depict the Moon-Eyed people. Talk about a mystery wrapped in an enigma. It's enough to make your head spin.
Isn't it, though? This whole thing, statue, legends, Fort Mountain, it just goes to show how much we still don't know about the past and the people who came before us.
It's like we're looking at a puzzle with half the pieces missing. We can see the general picture, but there are still so many gaps to fill in. So where do we go from here? I gotta say, this is one rabbit hole I'm not quite ready to climb out of yet.
Right. It's like we've stumbled onto a real-life X-Files episode.
Yeah.
We've got the legends, the mysterious structures, a possible Welsh connection, and to top it off, a missing statue. What's not to love?
It's almost too good to be true. But seriously, where do we even go from here? Do we just accept that some things are destined to remain a mystery?
Maybe, but maybe not. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? The mystery of the Moon-Eyed people reminds us that history isn't always a clear-cut story. There are always going to be missing pieces, unanswered questions. And sometimes those gaps are what make the whole thing so captivating.
It's like that itch you can't scratch. It just makes you want to dig deeper, explore every angle, you know?
Exactly. And who knows, maybe someday we'll have those answers. Maybe new evidence will come to light, something that finally solves the puzzle of the Moon-Eyed people.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall when that happens. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I guess we just have to embrace the mystery, the unknown.
Absolutely. Because that's part of what makes history so fascinating. It's a journey of discovery. And sometimes the most rewarding discoveries are the ones that lead to even more questions.
So what you're saying is, the search for the Moon-Eyed people continues.
Always. And who knows, maybe someone listening to this right now will be the one to finally crack the case.
That would be amazing. But even if we never find all the answers, just thinking about the Moon-Eyed people, their lives, their story, it makes you realize just how much more there is to learn about the past. How many other mysteries are still out there, just waiting to be uncovered?
Countless mysteries, I'm sure. And each one is a chance to learn, to grow, to expand our understanding of the world and the people who came before us.
Well said. So to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the Moon-Eyed people. It's been an absolute blast. And hey, if you happen to stumble across a flat-faced statue anytime soon, you know who to call. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep the spirit of curiosity alive.